So, a few days ago, exactly 1 month after Joni Lamb's death, Doug Weiss posted on Facebook. And here is what he wrote, exactly as it appears. 1 month ago, Joni took the hand of Jesus. She is already so missed. Now, on the surface, that looks like a grieving husband paying tribute to his wife 1 month after her death. And some people scrolled past it and took it exactly at face value. But y'all, the comment section on this post? Only positive comments, only consolation, only "we are praying for you, Doug," only "God bless you." 328 comments, not one negative, not one question, not one "Doug, where was she when she died?" Not one "Doug, why Mexico?" Not one "Doug, what about Jonathan?" Not one. And I want y'all to hold that thought, because we are going to come back to it. But first, let's look at what the people who actually noticed something said. Because here's the thing. Some people caught something in the language of that post itself. And I want to read these comments because they are sharp. Diana Gallus writes, "Notice he says she is already so missed. Most people would say, I miss her so much." Y'all, Diana caught something. And I want to slow down on this. She is already so missed. That is third-person passive language. She is missed by some unnamed people, presumably. It doesn't say, I miss her. It says, she is missed, as if Doug is narrating someone else's grief from a distance. Now, I want to be fair. English is flexible. People phrase things differently under stress. I'm not convicting anybody on a grammatical choice. Bridget Burson writes, "Yeah, he speaks in the third person, making it oh so non-personal." Regina Gamblin writes, "Exactly. There's something very telling in that. I can't wait for the body language and word analysis experts to start reading him." And then there's Roxy, who described the delete and block system in plain terms. Roxy Tilton Crowley writes, "He deletes anything negative. Joni and Daystar page, same way. They have done this since the minute he entered the scene. They can do that on Facebook and Instagram, and they block anyone who makes a negative comment from ever posting again. X he has completely locked down because can't delete comments." There it is. Roxy just described the system. Doug deletes anything negative. Joni and Daystar's pages, same policy. Since the minute he entered the scene. Facebook, delete and block. Instagram, delete and block. On X, he locked it down because on X, you can't delete comments. So his solution was to lock the whole account. That is not grief management. That is narrative management. And this is not new. This is not something that started after Joni died. Look at what Sharon Howarth described. Sharon was in a support group for Doug's counseling clients, people who used Heart to Heart Counseling Center, people who were paying Doug Weiss for help with the most painful seasons of their lives. Sharon Howarth writes, "Exactly what Doug's daughter and media people did when he announced his divorce. I was in a support group on FB and they shut it down with no explanation or notice while I watched myself and others get blocked for questioning his divorce, the notification timing, and lack of transparency with his counseling center clients across the nation. My personal online therapist at Heart to Heart left the counseling center along with many others due to their own IRL face-to-face concerns. They were there watching it happen and were taken by surprise by the announcement as well. Doug and his wife had kept everything totally under wraps, acting as though things were normal to preserve the dollar train. So it isn't a stretch for me to assume his profile has moderators who remove all negative posts/replies. Y'all, let me break this down. Sharon is describing what happened when Doug announced his divorce from Lisa. His own therapists, the people who worked at Heart to Heart, were blindsided because Doug kept everything totally under wraps to preserve the dollar train, his counseling income, the revenue from intensives and online sessions. They kept the divorce secret from their own staff to protect the money flow. And when people started asking questions in a support group for people who were clients of Heart to Heart, that group was shut down. No explanation, no notice. And the people asking questions, blocked, silenced, gone. This is the same pattern we documented with the Wikipedia edit war. The same pattern we documented with Daystar deleting comments and blocking critics. The same pattern we documented with Joni's page. It is a consistent, deliberate, systematic scrubbing of any voice that challenges the preferred narrative. And it has been going on, according to Sharon's testimony, since the moment Doug Weiss entered the Daystar ecosystem. Now here is the part that made me stop scrolling completely. Because Doug posted a photo of Joni's grave. One red rose on the stone. Beautiful flowers around the base. A cross on the marker. And the inscription reads, Joni T, July 19th, 1960, May 7th, 2026, Noni. But here is what that photo is not showing you. Y'all, Doug Weiss, the man who married Joni Lamb in June 2023, the man who was her husband when she died, the man who took her to Mexico for her final 4 days, the man who posted a tribute photo of her grave 1 month after her death, that man posted a cropped photo that cuts off the side showing Marcus Lamb's grave. Because Joni Lamb is buried next to Marcus Lamb, her first husband, not Doug. And the name on the stone? Joni Trammell Lamb, not Weiss, Lamb. She carried Marcus's name into eternity. She is buried beside Marcus. She is identified as Lamb on her own gravestone. And Doug had to post a photo of it. And what did he do? He cropped it. He cropped out Marcus. He cropped out the 1982 marriage date. He posted just enough to look like a grieving husband's tribute without showing the full picture. Rebecca Hansen writes, I bet that's weird that she was buried next to Marcus when she was married to Doug. I bet it didn't matter much to him. He's probably going to be buried next to Lisa whenever it's his time. It's just weird. Rebecca said what everyone was thinking. Joni was buried next to Marcus, the man she was with for 39 years, the father of her children, the man she built Daystar with. And Doug, who she was married to for less than 3 years, posted a tribute photo cropped to hide that reality. That is not grief. That is image management. That is a man who cannot stand for the world to see that even in death, Joni Lamb went home to Marcus. Sharon Howarth writes, what I noticed is that Joni's grave marker does not denote the Weiss name at all. She is buried as Joni Trammell Lamb. This has got to produce a lot of frustration for Doug, but he's a pro, so he can handle anything that comes his way as long as his agenda is being served. A pro. Sharon called him a pro. Someone who knows exactly what he is doing at all times. Who keeps his composure because the agenda requires it. Who can post a 1-month tribute with a cropped photo and a carefully worded caption, "She is already so missed," and manage every comment that follows. Blocking, deleting, controlling, scrubbing. Because the narrative must be protected. Always. And then there's Melissa May. And y'all, Melissa's comment is one of the most important things in this entire thread because she brings something nobody else has. Personal medical experience. Melissa May writes, what if he's reprobate though? I never liked Doug even from his early days on Table Talk with Joni. I always saw a snake. My discernment has never been wrong on people. This guy is more than likely trying to get sympathy and a dopamine hit. Narcs are never sincere in anything they do. And for him to take her to Mexico on some last-ditch effort therapy and take her physically from the kids when she was actively dying is just repulsive. My mom died of the same thing Joni did. My mom had triple-negative breast cancer that metastasized to her bones, and she broke her pelvis and filled with fluid because her liver and kidneys were shutting down. There is no way we could have moved my mom her last 4 days on this earth because of the excruciating pain she was in. Joni had a spine fracture from her bones being riddled by cancer. To me, this was very thoughtless on his part. Y'all, I need you to hear what Melissa is saying. Because Melissa is not speculating. Melissa lived this. Her mother died of the same diagnosis as Joni, triple-negative breast cancer that metastasized to the bones. And she is saying, from personal medical experience, there is no way you move someone in that condition. Her mother broke her pelvis. Her kidneys and liver were shutting down. Joni had a spine fracture from cancer spreading through her bones. And Doug took her to Mexico 4 days before she died, away from her children. Now, some people might say, maybe Joni wanted to go. Maybe she was seeking alternative treatment. Maybe it was her choice. And those are fair points. I don't know what Joni's wishes were in those final days. But here's what we know from Melissa's testimony. A woman with a spine fracture from metastatic bone cancer, in the excruciating pain that condition produces, was transported to a foreign country 4 days before she died, when her liver and kidneys were likely shutting down. And the man who made or facilitated that decision is now posting cropped tribute photos of her grave with 328 filtered comments of consolation, and not one question in sight. Segment 6. Connecting it all. The pattern of control. Now let me zoom out, because I've been tracking a pattern across this entire Daystar series, and today's evidence fits perfectly into it. Here is what Doug Weiss and Daystar do consistently when the truth threatens the narrative.
This is not a coincidence. This is a communication strategy. This is what happens when someone with, as Sharon Howarth called it, his agenda, encounters any information that threatens that agenda. It disappears. It gets cropped, it gets blocked, it gets deleted, it gets rewritten on Wikipedia, and what remains, what you see when you look at Doug Weiss's social media, is a curated, controlled, scrubbed version of reality, where Doug is a grieving widower, where Joni is peacefully missed, where there are no questions. But here's what Doug Weiss cannot delete, and this is what I want to close on, because sometimes the most powerful things are the ones that can't be scrubbed. He cannot delete the gravestone. Joni is buried as Joni Trammell Lamb. That is carved in granite. He cannot crop the physical stone. He can only crop the photo. But the stone remains. Marcus is there. And Joni's identity in death is Lamb, not Weiss. He cannot delete the Wikipedia edit log. Publicly documented, time-stamped, a brand new account created 3 days after Joni's death. One single edit removing overdose language. That log is permanent. Wikipedia keeps it forever. He cannot delete the police records showing Joni died in Mexico. He cannot delete Sharon Howarth's testimony about heart to heart. He cannot delete Melissa May's medical analysis. He cannot delete the IRS public records showing the discrepancy between the $400,000 grant and the $50,000 reported on the postcard 990. And he cannot delete the testimony of the community, because for every comment he removes, somebody already screenshotted it. For every person he blocks,
That person shares what they saw somewhere he doesn't moderate. The internet, as they say, is forever. And the people of God who have discernment, who have the Holy Spirit, who have eyes to see, they are watching. They are screenshotting. They are sharing. And they are bringing it here. Luke 12, 2-3. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What you have said in the dark will be heard in the daylight, and what you have whispered in the ear in the inner rooms will be proclaimed from the roofs. Jesus Christ. Doug Weiss can delete comments. He can crop photos. He can lock his Twitter account. He can scrub Wikipedia. He can block critics. He can moderate 328 comments into a wall of positivity. But he cannot delete the truth, because the truth doesn't live on Facebook. The truth lives with God, and God doesn't have a delete button. Keep screenshotting, y'all. Keep sharing. Keep asking questions, and keep praying for everyone in this story. For Joni's children, for Jonathan and Susie, for baby Lamb, and yes, even for Doug Weiss. Because no man is beyond the reach of God's grace. But grace requires honesty. And honesty starts with stopping the deletion. Until next time, stay rooted, stay real, stay in the Word. God bless y'all. Peace.